Well, time to go back to the world of Rayman. This time I'm going for one of the more obscure games in the Rayman library. According to Ray Wiki, this game was released in 2000 as Rayman Premieres Clics. I think I said that right, it's French and I can't speak French. But it commonly is known as My First Rayman. It uses a lot of assets from Rayman 2, such as its sound effects and music. However, they did get French Rayman actor Emmanuel Garajo, delete where appropriate, to voice Rayman, who also voiced him in every game before Rayman 3 to record some new lines for Rayman and the baby glow boxes featured in this game. Wait, hold on. Didn't Rayman Raving Rabbids only have Rayman and the baby glow boxes in as characters? Shit, I hope that isn't an omen. It's pretty cool that he reprised his role for this thing, but it's kind of weird that he voices the babies, especially given that this is what they sound like in Rayman 2.
That's to say, we were separated and,
Daddy Clover, we want our daddy!
So, believe it or not, this game has no installation, which is a novel surprise. The closest thing it has is this trick that it does to make you think that you need to register the bastard before playing it. However, I clicked off and didn't register and there was literally no consequence. The game cuts to this language select screen, and it's at this point that I'm presented with 4 languages. And none of them are mine. Shit. The box of this game came in German, but you'd be surprised how many games I own that have German boxes and still have English audio in them. And yet all of these games work fine and can be played in English without any weird accents. But because nobody made this thing in English, I'm kinda fucked. Apparently it was sold in a handful of countries, none of which were Britain or even countries that spoke English. I guess you could rule up Canada as a possible exception, but they also speak French, so that's probably why they were picked. So I decided to pick the German language first. Since the box was in German, I ended up picking the French language the second time I booted this up because Rayman is technically French. Now this is actually the second time that the language barrier fucked me over, as I bought the game thinking that Erster was German for Easter. I mean, it's only one letter away, and given how cutesy this thing is, it just gave me that impression. Erster is actually German for first, and the game's title translates to My First Rayman, or something to that effect. Oops. Well, I guess the New Testament is probably the closest thing I'll ever get to an Easter-themed game. Maybe I'll find something before Easter. Rayman hops onto the screen and greets us in German with his 4 baby Glowbox friends. Yeah, this game is set in the Rayman 2 universe and was probably the last product to be set in there that wasn't a reboot anyway, as Rayman 3 came out 5 months after this. I do like this look a lot more than future looks. It kinda reminds me of the late 90s platforming games like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot and Croc, as opposed to the later, more detailed worlds. The first screen is pretty nicely put together. It's got a lot going on with it, with the 4 recoloured glow boxes, and this suicidal glow box, and this frog. In all honesty, this screen is actually my biggest problem with the game. It looks fine, but somehow everything is interactive, and yet only a few things actually do anything. How does that work? In truth, I don't even know. I think Rayman explains it, but he's speaking German, so he might as well not even bother as far as I'm concerned. Basically, if you click on anything from plants to the baby glow boxes, it tickles them with a feather, and they make this terrifying laughing sound.
Flop, 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 meine Musik ist toll.
Please don't do that again. It also makes butterflies appear like that Popolopoi mode, Popolopolis, delete where appropriate, in Rayman M. If you click too many times on stuff, it transitions to night and everyone fucks off. I really don't know the significance of this at all. I tried clicking on things after dark, but it seemingly does nothing but make more butterflies or bubbles or whatever appear until the morning comes. I'm guessing it's an aesthetic thing, as I honestly couldn't find any hidden modes or anything at night. Now, here's a question. Look at this image. Where do you click to play the game modes? Rayman? The glow boxes? The flowers? The tree? The frog? Well, if you answered any of those, you're right and you're wrong. So, good luck with that. From what I gather, the glow boxes make butterflies, the frog makes butterflies, and so do all the plants, except this red tulip. The red tulip is the quit game button. It makes too much sense. I didn't have a clue about this the first time playing this, and accidentally quit the game, hence why I did a second playthrough of it in French. Also, am I the only one who thinks it's weird that glow boxes and frogs are coexisting? I thought glow boxes were frogs in their respective universe. I mean, this is like BoJack Horseman standing next to a real horse, on 4 legs, in a field or something. Anyway, you play the game by clicking Rayman's hands, feet, torso and head. There's nothing to indicate this like an outline or even a picture over them. Like, there's nothing to say that this is even clickable. This is why signs are typically used for situations like this, especially for a child's game like this. Bear in mind, this is for a kid who can't read, or hasn't got much of a grasp of reading. So, getting them to figure stuff like this out is a bit mean. I mean, those baby glow boxes aren't doing anything important. Why can't they hold a little sign with a picture on it telling you what activity's what? I clicked on Rayman's hot body and was taken to this food matching game. It's basically a Simon Says thing, which is what most of these games chalk up to. You can up the ante on the difficulty if you want to, and they actually have different games depending on what difficulty you're playing, but a lot of the games are very similar. I love how this French game just has you messing around with croissants and other pastries. Way to break stereotypes, guys. I then have to do the exact same thing but with fruits, matching them to trees. They all look like melted lost souls. Someone's eaten that banana and left the skin there to rot, hoping that nobody would notice. What the hell's even going on with that Dr. Seuss mountain thing in the background, and why is this coconut so happy that his brother had his head sliced in two? Fuck this, I don't like this fruit, I'm leaving it. Also, this bee keeps following me around. I really don't know why. Oh look, watch out for that plum juice. We all know what happens if you get that stuff near Glowbox.
Ow! Yes!
I then apparently murdered the bee along with his accomplices, and we get to play around with their corpses. Yay! Then I have to build Rayman. Remember, this is the hard mode. I know that this game is for very young children, but Rayman's shape is a little too obvious for a challenge like this. And even if it wasn't, the solution is right there at the bottom of the screen. I also hate how Rayman shouts, "Yippee!" every time you do anything. It reminds me of that shit Connect the Dots game in that Bible CDI game, which is a reference that I never thought I'd have to make. Thanks, mine Erster Rayman. Fucking dick.
Yippee! Yippee! Whoops.
Then I have to make this jigsaw, which is so damn hard. It took me hours to solve it. I still like doing this more than I like playing Rayman Raving Rabbids though.
Yippee!
We then get this B-Tech version of Spore, where you get to make animals out of various body parts. It's pointless really, as none of the combinations are particularly funny or abominable. I did make the Potbelly Pig-Elephant hybrid from South Park, but that's about as much as I could manage before making these abominations got boring. I do like that they reward you for completing challenges at least, unlike Shark Tale that just gave you these shitty pieces of fan art as a congratulations. I then click Rayman's hand and I get to see this idiot Glowbox crying over his drowned son. Or at least I think that's why he's crying, maybe he shit himself, who cares. This opens up the segment to the art game. I guess we're using his depression as inspiration for some beautiful art. Oh, when you click on it, pictures just appear. Lovely! This is just like doing art in real life. Look, look. Right, here we go. Look, I'm gonna do some art. See? Art! Actually, if I'm being fair, you do see where the challenge ramps up for the young kids, as the second one does have you click inside the lines, and the third one requires you to pick a colour before doing so. I mean, it's not Mario Paint, but it's not the most insulting thing I've ever seen. So, after satanising everything, I'm given a dancing glow box as my reward. Oh, you shouldn't have. Just what I've always wanted. Or, I don't know, maybe he's just happy because that little shitter finally drowned. Then I sample some magic mushrooms and trip balls, apparently. I don't know. I then click on Rayman's feet and have to click on everyone for some reason to make them dance as well. This kick-ass tune also kicks in and I'm loving it. We then have to click on instruments to make them play as Rayman says them. It's as fun as it sounds. Then these jazz instruments that look like they're in eternal anguish are up. I love how when the drum plays, the flower flinches, like it's terrified of getting hurt or worse. Now, I originally criticised this game for being a little too simplistic, but I'm glad that the game proved me wrong by making this third challenge require you to not only play a realistic piano, but also learn some songs for it. It's nice that this game actually teaches you something. Well, you know, aside from picking shit up off the floor. I tried to play the only thing that I know how to play on a piano and keyboard, but it didn't work because the 6th black bar is missing. Nice. I then clicked on Rayman's face and it took me to these clovers, where I have to play a memory game. Rayman Raving Rabbids was slightly better than this, as it was more challenging and fun. I hate myself for saying that, but it is true, the memory game was a little better. I also had to know what colours were in French, something I thought I knew but didn't, as rouge means both red and pink, with a slight variation added onto the end. And I often manage to miss that slight variation. I also struggled knowing the difference between a blue spade and a blue bucket in French, given that I don't know the word for bucket and spade. Thankfully, you don't get penalised for simply guessing, so it's cool. Once you beat that, you get to fart around on the beach until you get bored and go back to the main menu. So that was about a minute for me. And so ends our tour of Rayman's world, as I've now done literally everything in the game. The game is apparently aimed at 2 to 4 year olds, and this is pretty obvious in how simplistic it is. As a result, it definitely works at being what it aims to be. Apparently some versions of this game came with a branded Rayman mouse or a t-shirt, something that I thought I wanted until I realised that the t-shirt would be for a 2-year-old, and the mouse was from 2000, so it probably had one of those god-awful prongs at the end of it, which I probably can't even use anymore. Apparently I missed the storytelling minigame, but I'm somewhat relieved given that trying to tell a story in a language that you don't even speak is probably going to be impossible. I did look at the plot summary listed on the page to see if I'd missed anything. I mean, I know I've missed everything, but you know. And Apparently, everything I told you is the plot summary. They don't tell you what the dialogue specifically is, so I'm guessing it's not that important. I do like that the game knew to guide the child through it, telling them when they're going wrong and encouraging them to get it right, and not just leaving the kid to figure it out themselves, even when they're blatantly struggling. Some games do this and it just kind of baffles me, like, you know, there's a point where somebody isn't going to figure it out or is just going to get very frustrated trying to do so. This game's more about rewarding effort, and I just wish that some games appreciated effort as much as this one. You know, like Dark Souls. It's kind of funny, but out of all these packs that I've covered for the show, the Shark Tale, Peppa Pig, and now this game, I honestly like this one best. Bear in mind that it's for young children, it has educational value, leaves room for people to be creative, rewards them for completing challenges, or at least tries to, and I honestly think that it could be used for a useful coaching program, or even someone a bit older trying to learn one of its 4 languages. Maybe I'm biased due to me liking the subject matter, but I feel like, for what this is far more acceptable to me than Peppa Pig or Shark Tale, as it achieves its main goal and purpose of providing fun, challenge, and even educating a child that's younger than your average gaming child. I imagine a preschool child having some fun with this, since kids have a lot more fun with something so basic. The colours, shapes and everything would probably keep them distracted for a while. I used to play games like this based on Disney's Dinosaur and Bug's Life, and though those games were a bit better from what I remember, due to them offering more and clearly being labelled on the menus, I think I still would have been equally happy with this as a kid. Hell, I know I would have. I mean, it's fucking Rayman. I love these games as a kid. Either way, at least it doesn't piss me off as much as Rayman Raving Rabbids. Glowbox in the sky with diamonds. The skates on the sky with diamonds.
Hunky Wayman? Why is Daddy prancing around like an idiot?
Don't look at him, kids. He's been sampling the local flora again. Damn it. This is worse than the plum juice.